Have you ever noticed something strange? A woman can ignore a man for weeks. She can block him. She can even say things like, "I'm done with you." But then suddenly, out of nowhere, she appears again. She sends a message. She reacts to your story. Or even worse, she says, "Hey, I've been thinking about you." And the man sitting there thinks, "What just happened?" If you've ever experienced this, or if you're waiting for someone to come back into your life, then listen very carefully, because in this video I'm going to reveal the psychological truth about why women come back, and why some men almost guarantee it happens. And no, it has nothing to do with begging. It has nothing to do with chasing. And the men who understand this almost always see the same result. She reappears. But before we dive deeper, a quick message. If you've been learning from my videos and you want to support this work, you can subscribe to me on Facebook with a paid membership, send stars, or join my YouTube channel's paid community. Your support helps me create more powerful content for you, and I truly appreciate every bit of it. All right, now let's continue. There's something important you need to understand, because the first mistake most men make is the exact reason she never comes back. And when you realize what that mistake is, it will completely change how you see relationships. Let's start with a simple truth. Women are deeply emotional creatures. Not weak, not irrational, but emotional in a very specific way. They respond to feelings, tension, mystery, and psychological impact far more than logic. That means something very important. A woman doesn't miss the man who chases her. She misses the man who made her feel something powerful. And this is where most men destroy their chances. Because the moment a woman pulls away, they panic. They send long messages. They try to explain themselves. They try to fix things. But the moment you start chasing, something very strange happens inside her mind. You remove the one thing that makes you valuable: scarcity. And when scarcity disappears, so does curiosity. But here's the interesting part. When a man does the opposite, when he disappears emotionally, when he stops chasing, when he simply continues living his life, something begins to happen inside her mind. And this is the moment the psychology begins. But the real reason women come back is much deeper than that. Let me tell you something most people don't realize. When a woman leaves a relationship, her mind doesn't instantly move on. Instead, her brain enters what psychologists call emotional comparison mode. She starts comparing the new attention she gets with the feelings she had before. And here's where things get interesting. If the man she left was constantly chasing her, she feels relief. But if the man she left suddenly becomes distant, unbothered, focused on his own life, her brain starts asking a very uncomfortable question. Why isn't he reacting? And that question creates something powerful: curiosity. Curiosity turns into thinking. Thinking turns into remembering. And remembering slowly turns into missing you. But wait, because the next part is where most men sabotage everything. Imagine this situation. A woman pulls away. She stops texting. She becomes cold. And the man immediately sends a message like, "Hey, did I do something wrong?" Or worse, "Please just tell me what's going on." In that moment, he accidentally confirms something in her mind. He confirms that she still has emotional control over him. And when someone has control, they rarely feel the need to return. But when control disappears, that's when the psychology flips. And this is where a powerful shift begins. Because the moment she realizes something, everything changes. She realizes you're no longer chasing her. You're no longer waiting. You're no longer reacting to her silence. And suddenly, you become unpredictable. And nothing captures a woman's attention more than unpredictability. But this is only the beginning, because there's a deeper emotional trigger that almost guarantees she comes back. Let's talk about emotional imprinting. When a woman experiences strong emotions with a man, those memories don't disappear easily. In fact, they become deeply embedded in her mind. The laughter, the conversations, the tension, the attraction, even the arguments, all of it becomes part of a psychological imprint. So when she walks away, she may feel confident at first, but time does something very interesting. It removes the negative emotions and slowly amplifies the positive memories. And this creates something dangerous: nostalgia. And nostalgia is one of the strongest emotional forces in human psychology. But there's something even stronger than nostalgia. And when this happens, that's usually when she reaches out again. It's called ego disruption. Most women are used to a certain reaction when they pull away. Men chase. Men text. Men try to win them back. But when a man doesn't do that, when he simply accepts the distance, her ego becomes confused. She wonders, did he move on? Does he not care anymore? Was I not that important? And suddenly, the power dynamic shifts. Now she's the one thinking about you. Now she's the one checking your social media. Now she's the one wondering what you're doing. And eventually, curiosity becomes too strong. So she sends a message. Sometimes it's subtle. Hey, how have you been? Sometimes it's random. She reacts to an old story or likes a photo. But the real purpose of that message is not what you think. She's testing something. She's testing whether she still has access to you. And how you respond in that moment determines everything. If you respond with excitement, if you respond instantly, if you show her that you were waiting, the mystery disappears. But if you remain calm, relaxed, and slightly detached, something powerful happens. She feels the same attraction she felt before, because attraction thrives on emotional tension, and tension only exists when there is uncertainty. Now here's something most men don't realize. The reason some women come back again and again is because the man unknowingly created a psychological loop. He gave her emotional experiences she couldn't easily replace, and when those experiences disappear, her brain tries to recreate them, which leads her back to the same person. But there's another hidden reason women return, and this one surprises a lot of people. It's called comparison disappointment. When a woman leaves a man, she often believes she can find something better. More excitement, more attention, more validation. But reality doesn't always match expectations. And when the new experiences fail to match what she had before, her brain starts comparing again, and slowly, she realizes something. The man she left was actually rare. He had qualities she didn't fully appreciate at the time, and this realization creates regret. But pride often prevents her from admitting it directly. So instead, she finds subtle ways to reappear in your life. A random text, a late-night message, a just checking in. But the psychology behind it is much deeper. She's not just saying hello, she's reopening the door. And whether that door stays open depends entirely on you. Now here's something almost nobody talks about. There's a concept in psychology called the contrast effect, and it plays a massive role in why women come back. When she walks away from you and into something new, that new experience gets compared to what she had before. And if what she had before was genuinely good, the contrast becomes painful. Because new attention is flattering, but it's shallow. New connections feel exciting, but they're unfamiliar. And the human brain is deeply uncomfortable with unfamiliar. So as the initial excitement fades, what she's left with is a strange feeling. A feeling that something is missing. She can't always name it, she can't always explain it, but she feels it. And that feeling has a name. It's called longing. And longing is one of the most powerful emotional states a person can experience. It sits quietly in the background of everything she does, and eventually, it becomes impossible to ignore. But here's what makes this even more fascinating. Longing doesn't return her to just anyone. It returns her to the person who created the most vivid emotional memories, which means the quality of your connection with her matters far more than its length. A man who made her laugh deeply, a man who challenged her thinking, a man who made her feel genuinely seen. That man lives in her memory longer than anyone else. And the more time passes, the stronger that memory becomes. This is why some women reach out months later, or even years later. It's not just about missing a person. It's about missing a version of themselves they experienced with that person. And that is deeply powerful psychology. Now let's talk about something even more practical. Because understanding why women come back is one thing, but knowing how to behave when they do is where most men make a fatal mistake. When she reappears, the natural instinct is relief. Finally, she came back. And that relief shows. It shows in how fast you reply. It shows in how eager you sound. It shows in how much you say. And the moment it shows, the dynamic resets to exactly where it was when she left. Because she left because of an imbalance. Whether she knew it consciously or not, she left because something felt off. Maybe you were too available. Maybe you were too eager to please. Maybe she stopped feeling that quiet tension that drew her in at the beginning. And if you respond to her return with that same energy, nothing changes. She'll feel the same thing she felt before, and the cycle will repeat. But if you respond differently, if you respond with warmth but without urgency, if you acknowledge her presence without rewarding her absence, something shifts, and she notices. Because you've shown her something rare, that you've grown, that your world kept moving without her, that you are not defined by her choices. And that is the single most attractive thing a man can show a woman. Not muscles, not money, not charm, indifference to her approval. That's the real secret. Because a man who needs her to return is easy to read, easy to control, easy to take for granted again. But a man who is genuinely okay either way, that man becomes a puzzle she can't stop thinking about. And puzzles demand to be solved. Let's go even deeper. Because there's one more psychological layer that most people never discuss. It's called identity attachment. When a woman is in a meaningful connection with a man, that connection becomes part of how she sees herself. She doesn't just remember him, she remembers who she was around him, how she felt, how she showed up, how that version of herself was different from who she is alone. And when that connection ends, she doesn't just lose a person, she loses a version of herself. And the mind doesn't release that easily. It keeps searching, keeps looking for that feeling in other places. And when it can't find it anywhere else, it knows exactly where to go. Back to the source, back to you. This is why no contact is so powerful. Not because it's a trick, not because it's a game, but because it creates space. Space for her to feel the full weight of your absence. Space for her memories to rise to the surface. Space for her to realize what she actually walked away from. And in that space, psychology does the work for you. Now here's the truth most people don't want to hear. There is no real guarantee that someone will come back, but there is something close to it. And that is becoming the man who doesn't need them to return. Because the moment you stop waiting, the moment your life becomes full, the moment you stop chasing validation, you become something extremely attractive, not just to her, but to everyone. Confidence without attachment is rare, and rarity creates value. Which brings us to the final psychological twist. The moment a woman senses that you're genuinely moving forward, that's often the exact moment she appears again. Because now, she risks losing you for real. And nothing activates human emotion more than the fear of loss. So let this be the foundation of everything you do from this point forward. Stop performing, stop chasing. Stop measuring your worth by whether she returns. Build a life that excites you. Develop skills that challenge you. Surround yourself with people who appreciate your presence. And let that energy speak for itself. Because the version of you that is growing, the version of you that is focused, the version of you that has moved beyond needing her approval, that version of you is irresistible. Not because of a strategy, but because it's genuine. And genuine is the rarest thing in the world. So remember this. The men who beg rarely see her again. But the men who quietly move forward, who rebuild their focus, who create a life they're proud of, often experience something unexpected. One day, a notification appears, a message, a name they haven't seen in months. And the message usually starts the same way. Hey, I know it's been a while. And suddenly, the story begins again. But this time, you're a different man, and that changes everything. If you found this video interesting and want to understand more real psychology behind attraction and relationships, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you want even deeper insights about female psychology, male mindset, and the hidden dynamics of attraction, check out the other videos on this channel. There are powerful truths most people never talk about, and once you understand them, you'll start seeing relationships very differently.